Okay, good morning. As we start the chitas of the day, we are going to start. Today is Tuesday, third, third part of the portion of Kairach. We are holding on chapter 16, verse number 20. We are in the middle of the story of Kairach as Kairach goes against Moshe Rabbeinu, and Moshe Rabbeinu is frustrated, self-understood, and he asks God that he should not listen and take any account to their sacrifice. Verse number 20. God spoke to Moshe and Aaron, saying, go away, separate yourself from this community. Separate yourself from this community, and I will consume them in a moment, in a second. Verse 22, Vayiplop names, so they fell on their faces. And they said, the God of the spirits of all flesh. If one person sins, she get angry on the entire congregation. So now she says, what does it mean? Go, God of the spirits, God who knows the thoughts of every man. Your attributes are not like those of earthly beings. A mortal king against whose part of his country transgression does not know who the sinner is, and therefore when he's angry, he meets punishment upon them all. But you, all thoughts are revealed before you, and you know who is the sinner, who is not. Why the entire congregation should be punished because of a few? If one man is a sinner, should you anger the whole congregation? The Holy One, blessed be He, said, you have spoken well. I know, and I will make known who sinned and who did not sin. God spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the congregation. Withdraw, go away from the dwellings of Kairach, Dasan, and Aviram. So Rashi says, go away, withdraw from around this tent. Go away from them. If you don't want to have the same situation that's going to happen to them, move away. Verse 25, so Moshe got up and he went to Dasan Aviram. And the elders of Israel went with him. Rashi Yaakov, he thought they would show him respect, maybe, but they did not. They didn't even come out. So he spoke to the congregation, spoke to the Jews, said, move away from the tents of these wicked men. And do not touch anything. Don't touch anything of theirs. Then he shall perish because of their sins. So they listened and they moved away. Mishkan, Kairach, Dasan, Aviram, they moved away from around the dwelling of Kairach and Dasan and Aviram, Misaviv, from around their tents. With Dasan Yatzim, Itzav and Pesach Aleim, and Dasan and Aviram went out standing upright at the entrance of their tents. Shem, name it Tapam, together with their wives, their children, and their infants. But actually, they went out standing with a haughty bearing, to curse and to blasphemy. And it says he stationed himself, he starts for arrogance. The shame of them, come and see the severity of dispute. Earthly courts cannot punish until the accused had 2 public hearings, and the heavenly court does not punish until one reaches the age of 20. But over here, even nursing babies were punished because of machlokes, arguments in the Jewish nation. This is the machlokes, what arguments and dispute brings. Verse 28. With this you'll know that God has sent me. Last says to do whatever I've done. It didn't come from my heart. So that's what it means that I did by the word of God to give Aaron the Kahuna Gedola, his son's a deputy Kahuna, and Otzafan the chieftain of the family of Kos. For these men die, as all men die. And the fate of all men will be visited upon them. Then the Lord has not sent me. If these people are not going to die at this moment, a very, very sad, tragic death, then fine. Then it's not. Then God has not sent me. But I did everything on my own, and He Kairach is right to oppose me. If I did things on my own, it's my own agenda. Then fine. Then that proving me wrong. But if the Lord creates a creation, the earth opens its mouth, and it will swallow them, and everything that they own, and they'll send alive into the grave. Then you will know that these men have provoked the Lord, not me, but the Lord. And Rashi says, a bria chadasha, a new thing. Yivra Hashem, to kill them through the death by which the man has died, no man has died until now. And what was the creation? The earth will open its mouth and swallow them up. Then you will know that they provoked the Holy One, blessed, because it never ever happened before such a thing. And Moses has spoken the divine word. Our rabbis interpreted that if there was a mouth already created to the earth from the time of the 6 days of creation, well and good. And if not, let God create one now. Verse 31. He finished speaking these words. The earth beneath them split open. And the earth opened its mouth. And he swallowed. And he swallowed Kairach and all its property. And all that they had, all the possessions, descended alive into the grave. And then the earth closed its mouth. And they were lost, disappeared. The earth swallowed them up. You saw this was only Kairach. And all the Israel who were around them fled from their cries. For they, because they were so afraid. There was such a thing that they were swallowed up in an earthquake. Because of the sound that emanated when they were swallowed up. Verse 30. And then a fire came out from the Lord and consumed the 250 men who had offered the incense. So they died by a fire of heaven that went into their bodies and burnt them. Chapter 17, verse 1. God spoke to Moshe, say to Eliezer, the son of Aaron HaKohen, you should pick up the censers, the pans from the burnt area. But to throw the fire away because they became sanctified. What's the Aish? Rashi says the Aish that was in the pan. So you should throw away the fire on the ground of the pans. Because the pans have become sanctified. And it's forbidden to derive personal benefit from them since they were made to serve as vessels. And you have to. And these pans of these sinners. That sinned with their cost their lives. And you shall make them flatten out plates. as an overlay for the altar. For they brought them before the Lord, and they sanctified these pans. But then now will be a memory to remember. They'll see it on the mizbeach, on the altar outside, so remind the Jewish nation of the story. Actually, those who sinned that cost their lives, they had become willfully sinners against their own lives, for they opposed the Holy One, blessed be. Flatten out, thin them out. Plates, metal sheets, beat them flat. So this was overlay of the altar, the copper altar that was outside. Remembrance that people will say these plates are from those who disputed the kahuna and got burnt. Verse number 4, Yikach Eliezer came, Machtes and the Cheshes Eliezer came, took the copper plates, copper pans, censers, and as he hammered them out and as an overlay for the altar. Verse number 5, Zikadol Menei Sol, this is a reminder to the Jewish people, the Mashayidikav Izar, so that no outsider will bring a sacrifice, Aaron, who is not from the seed of Aaron. Lahaktik tells them that no other Jew in history will come and do the service in the Beis Hamikdash. And it should never ever be like Kairach and his followings. Kashadiba Hashem biyad Moshe, as God has spoken in the hand of Moshe. What does that mean? Rashi says the word loy, biyad Moshe, loy to him, means to him. Here the meaning is about him. That is about Aaron. He spoke to Moses that he and his sons would be Kohanim. Therefore, no outsider who is not from the seed of Aaron shall draw near. Similarly, every time it says li, loy, lahem, it's a it's a connection with the verb of speech. It's regarding. The Medrash interprets that the loy refers to Kairach. So what is the meaning in the hand by the hands of Moses? What was just why not just simply say to Moses? It alludes to those who rebel against the Kuna. They are stricken with Seidas. It says, and he, Moses, took out his hand when he spoke about the Jews and it turned to a leper. So too, like snow, for this reason Uziel was stricken with Seidas. Verse number 6. Next following day, the entire congregation of Israel complained against Moshe and Aaron. They were not happy with what Moshe Rabbeinu did, because Moshe Rabbeinu in essence gave the Yidden this challenge, and the Jews felt that he shouldn't have given them this challenge, and they said, "You have killed the people of the Lord." Verse number 7, Moshe came to pass while the congregation were assembled against Moshe and Aaron. They turned their face, suddenly they felt something was happening at the tent of meeting, at the Mishkan. And cloud covered the Mishkan, and the glory of the Lord appeared. Moshe and Aaron came in front of the tent of meeting. So the drama continues, and but this ends today's Chumash, and we'll continue the story tomorrow. We continue now the Tanya. We are holding Shara Yichud Ve'emunah. We are now holding the chapter 9, the 9th chapter of the Tanya, of this part of the Tanya. And the Alter Rebbe ended off chapter 8 with explaining the way in a human being, how even a human being, the way from Chachma, from his wisdom, how everything travels from his wisdom to ultimately the concept of action. So if a person understands that from wisdom, it goes to the emotions, from the emotions, it goes back to thought, And from thought, it goes to speech, and with speech, it comes down to action. So when a person comprehends that this journey and that in comparison from wisdom to action is a far reality. It's almost like a disconnect between the two. Maybe we'll understand in the way Hakadosh Baruch Hu. And that's now after giving an analogy yesterday of how far in distance wisdom is to action, or even wisdom is to emotion, and how far in distance wisdom motion is to thought of emotion, and how far in distance thought is to speech, and how far in distance it is ultimately to action. Now let's understand that by God. Because by God it is also written, Kulam b'chachma sisa, everything was made by wisdom. But by God you cannot say the same thing. God, by Kodesh Baruch Hu, comparison to God, Madreges HaChachma, the level of wisdom, Shitchilas Machshava, which, as we said, wisdom is the beginning of thought. With a Shisa and its whole creation, everything comes from wisdom. Yitzayf Maitzeh, by God, to him, the final stage of action. By God, everything is one. There's no difference between wisdom and action to God. By God, it's all one aspect. So his wisdom is action. Very hard for us to comprehend that because by us, there's a far distance from wisdom to ultimately something happening in action. So it's very hard for us to understand. But by the Eibishter, you have to understand that the God, my thought is not yours. So by me, that's with the expression like in Sukkot Zimra, we say God said it. By us, we say a lot of things, nothing happens. Because speech is not an action. There's a whole argument that the Talmud is speech is an action. So we can speak and speak, to say, talk is cheap. But by the Abish, talk is an action. Not only talk in action, thought is an action. Not only thought is an action, wisdom is an action. Because there's no separation between God's thought and his action. Because in relation to God, wisdom is considered as a quality of an action. Wisdom itself is a creation. Wisdom is a concept. God is the bottom concept. So therefore, to God, wisdom, which is the highest level in creation, everything created, as it's written, you have made everything with wisdom. So at first glance, it would seem more appropriate for the verse to have said, such as, you have made intellect them all. But instead it states, you have made. When speaking of it, you have made. You have made them all with wisdom. You made. That means by God, he made, and wisdom was made. Everything was made with wisdom. The Amish didn't have to come from wisdom to emotion to action. No, he made it. The second it came to wisdom, it happened. Because why? Because there's no difference between wisdom and action to God. Wisdom and action is the same thing. That is to say that wisdom relates to him as the quality of life force in a physical material action is in relation to the quality of life force of wisdom. So it's by him, spirituality, wisdom, emotions, all these by the Eibishter are self and expression of him. It's all the same. It's all united. That's why again the Rambam writes that true unity is only by God. By us, this connection, hard for us to unite even these connections, unity. The Eibishter only can bring true unity, that two things are one. Because by God, both those things are bottled to him. By us, how that's what the Rambam writes. There's the knower, there's the knowledge, and there's the what he knows. So you have three entities. And Eibishter, it's all one. It's all one concept. All his expression. the expression of God. Wisdom being the beginning and the source of all life force in man and all physical creatures. Meaning the life force of the physicality is comparable lower than wisdom, which is the source of the life force. For the life force of the physicality is nothing in comparison to the life force in the letters of speech, which in turn is nothing compared to the life force in the letters of thought. Which in turn is nothing in comparison to the life force and the level of the emotive attributes which this thought is derived. That's it, because by a human being, that's the way it goes. When you have to look from above to below, or from below to above. Where I explained it is all letters of thought emanate from some emotion which brings them into being. So that the individual concerning should think about this particular through these letters. Clearly, the life force of these letters, which I'm thinking of thought, bears no comparison to the life force of the emotion from whence these letters emanate. Which in turn is nothing in comparison to the life force and level and degree of wisdom, understanding, and knowledge, the source of the emotive attributes. Yes, from the level of action to the lofty level of wisdom, from the world of Achilles, there are but 5 levels, each of which is, is one no account in comparison to the level above it. Clearly, then, the lowest level of action is surely and absolutely no account in comparison to the highest level, which is the level of wisdom in the world of emanation. Thus as action is infinitely distant from the wisdom of Achilles. Exactly. So it's the quality and level of wisdom. It was the beginning and the source of the world of Atzilus, which is the source of the whole world of Atzilus, world of emanation. As we're speaking here, the spirit of Chachma, the world of Atzilus, which is the source of the entire world of Atzilus, the highest of all worlds, as such, is also the source of all the worlds below it. Now, this level of wisdom is as nothing to God. So, to us, when we talk about spiritual worlds, a human being like us, the chachma of a human being, which stems from the wisdom of the world of Atzilus, what is our chachma to the world of Atzilus? Our chachma is nothing to the world of the chachma of the world of emanation. That's concerning us, because we're very limited, we're finite. And even the Chachma Atzilus is also finite. But our finite is like a penny to a billion. Big number to us. Wow. The Chachma Atzilus is a trillionaire, and I am not even a millionaire. So that is such a wow, so big. But to the Eibishter, who's infinite, what's different a trillionaire or a person who has $1,000? Nothing. They're both the same. Because the trillionaire and the guy with $1,000 is both finite. And to the God is infinite, they're both equal. That's why it's important to understand. To give you, always give this simple analogy, is that the mitzvah of tzedakah, the mitzvah of tzedakah is to give a penny a day. That's the mitzvah. 2 pennies a day. To give a shavu pruta. So whatever a shavu pruta day is, 2 pennies a day. Give a nickel a day. That's the mitzvah. But the image to the mitzvah of tzedakah is make it $1 billion or a penny. God, if it's $1 billion or a penny, yeah, to the organization, there's going to be a great difference. But not to God. Because to God, $1 billion and a penny is the same thing. The Abishter wants the mitzvah. The mitzvah is to get tzedakah. Every day. It's the mitzvah. Doesn't say there's a mitzvah to give $1 billion. It's the mitzvah to give tzedakah. When you're talking to an organization, you're going to come to an organization, give a penny, that's not going to help them. So to them, you have to give what you're capable of giving because they need more than a penny. But to the Abishter, there's no difference. That's why they never begged everybody to have a pushka, whether you're giving big money to organization, you still have a pushka in your house and give a penny a day. Why does he do the mitzvah? And by God, if you do a mitzvah, a penny a day, that's the mitzvah. What's the difference to God who is infinite, a penny or $1,000,000? No difference. It's the mitzvah that counts. That's why the Mishnah says don't evaluate a mitzvah. Because the God is no difference. There's no difference. You cannot decide which mitzvah is bigger than the other. What's a biggie and what's a smallie? What's the difference to God? There's no concept of God. The concept of God is the mitzvah. By him, they're all big. There's no thing small by God. Everything is big. God, because Baruch Hu in relation to the Holy One, blessed be of glory and in essence, who is elevated and exalted by myriads of degrees of elevation, more than the quality of wisdom is elevated. Over the quality of the force of life of action, there's no comparison. You have to go, God is so high. He's like as high as wisdom is great of action. God is so far beyond that. So because with wisdom of Atzilus is 5 levels over the wisdom of the world of Asiya. We know how many it might be vast levels, it might be extremely big levels, Atzilus. The world of action is 4 levels down. Wow, they're but ultimately they are in comparison. There's the world of Atzilus and there's the world of action. The world of Atzilus has wisdom. The world of action has wisdom. The world of action's wisdom comes from the world of Atzilus. You're right. There's a very, very far distance between the two wisdoms. And maybe to the world of action, the world of Atzilus, the world of emanation, the wisdom of the world of emanation, the world of action's wisdom is garnished. But it comes to that. So a professor looks at a kindergarten child as nothing. But what do you mean? He came for that wisdom. He was also a kindergarten child. So every image of this kindergarten child might be greater professor than you. Because it's all relative. But the English is above and beyond that. This is elevation of the 5 degrees, namely the levels of action, speech, and thought, and the motive and action is into but the Eivishter, you have to understand, you can't compare God to the creation. Even the spiritual creations. The Eivishter is not the Chachma. We call God, we call the attribute of God Chachma. But God himself is above wisdom. But the Holy One, blessed be, is high and exalted above the level of wisdom by infinite, not by a finite. Oh, God, the wisdom of Atzilus is nothing to God's. The wisdom of Atzilus is a billionaire and God's a trillionaire. No. The wisdom of Atzilus is finite and God's infinite. Eight takes is unlimited. God is unlimited. While even the wisdom of the world of emanation is limited. So if so, this being so, why do we compare the distance of wisdom from God to the distance of action from wisdom when actual wisdom is infinitely more distant from him? So now we have to understand, because again, and the Alter Rebbe is going to explain, because we're talking to us. And when we're talking to us, we have to talk to what we can comprehend. But when you look, that's from bottom up, we have to understand, we have the wisdom of the Torah, it's called the wisdom of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But the wisdom to us, the wisdom to Eibishter, it's far behind. Okay, this completes the Tanya of the day. very lofty concepts. And today is the 28th day of Sivan. Today is a very special day in the Chabad calendar. It's the day that the Lubavitcher Rebbe and his wife came to America in 1941. So it's a day that the Chabad became a whole new reality of what Chabad was when the Frierdiker Rebbe, his father-in-law, coming to America, and ultimately bringing his son-in-law, which changed the whole focus and the whole concept of Chabad in America and ultimately in the whole world. So today is a very special day in the Chabad calendar and the Jewish calendar, and ultimately in the world calendar. Because we're here today, and Chabad's all over the world because of this very special day, the 28th day of the month of Sivan, when the Lubavitcher Rebbe was saved from that time. It was France. He was running away from the Nazis in Machshamam, and he was saved, and he came to America on the 28th day of Sivan today. So the Tillamon today is chapter 135, all the way to chapter 139, 135 to 139, and you would do your chitas of the day. And I wish you a wonderful day. Tonight, the class, Tuesday night class, is going to be not going to be tonight because we're having at Chabad a couples or adults paint night out, and we're going to paint some nice pictures. And you're still welcome to book in, and still have a couple of places left. And it's going to be a great evening for adults. And Mitcham will do the Chumash class on Thursday. I want to wish you all a wonderful, beautiful day. Hopefully, I'll see you tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock. We'll continue Chitas of the day. Have a great day.
Thank you, Rabbi.